Invasion of the Putties, Part 3, Preparing the Counter-Invasion, Act 1. The teams that aided Atlantis and Wakanda had returned from the hidden cities, closely followed by the ships led by King Calder and King Tamaz. The ships all landed in the massive warehouse, everyone sprawled out of the jets and the gigantic airships. Spider-Man walked away from the group as they all started planning how to build the portal device now that they had all the components, and help the ground team out at the same time. Spider-Man walked off and pulled out his phone and noticed that he had a voicemail. He pressed the button and heard his mother's voice message. "Oh my god," Spider-Man gasped. He then turned to the room of heroes and villains and soldiers as he shook his head. He ran out of the warehouse, jumped up and shot a web, pulling himself high into the air, and then he swung into the city. He landed on top of a building, a swarm of putties slamming their fists into some goons. Spider-Man shot a web and pulled one of the putties closer, then he uppercut it in the face, then he jumped up and swung a foot into another putty, sending another one flying back. He then shot several web shots at the putties. He ran at the group and slid across the ground. He kicked one of the putties in the shins, making it stumble to the ground. Spider-Man shot several webs, sticking the putty to the ground. Then he jumped up and flipped over one as he slammed his foot into the last putty. "Oh, thanks, Spidey," one grunted. "Whatever, man. You're a bad guy," Spider-Man growled. He shot a web shot at the two goons. They both got hit to the floor and stuck to the floor as they now laid there struggling to break out of the web. Spider-Man jumped off the building and swung to another. He shot another web and swung closer to the New York News building. There he saw a portal open inside of the building. A massive chunk of the top corner of the building was now completely missing. Floors were destroyed. Building was now slowly falling apart from the top all the way down. It was roaring with intense flames, which was producing a massive thick black cloud of smoke into the sky. The entire place was swarmed with putties. Spider-Man could see several people holding onto ledges about to fall, so he shot a web and pulled himself closer to the building. As one of the villains let go and started to fall, Spider-Man fell down and shot a web, catching the falling person. He pulled them closer and caught them. Then he shot a web, making a big web net, and threw the person onto that. As he shot a web to pull himself onto the building itself, he landed on one of the floors, which were now completely cut in half, and the other half was completely missing. It was now angled due to the destruction. He pulled some people back up to their feet and directed them to the other side of the building. Then he flipped down to the second floor that was also missing a big chunk of it, where the fire originated. He started webbing up some of the fire as best he could, allowing the trapped civilians to run free. Then the putty burst out and swung for Spider-Man. He caught its fist and rammed it in the chest, then the face. Then he shot a web, sticking it to the fiery wall. Then he ran down the corridor, the ceiling crumbling down above him. The rooms filled with smoke quickly. "Miss Hart, are you here?" Spider-Man called out. He ran into the news broadcasting room. The ceiling had completely caved in. Spider-Man could see the sky above him, the flames rising up as it had the perfect breathing room now. Spider-Man looked around and started lifting up some of the rubble, looking for his mother. Suddenly, putties started falling into the room from different directions. Spider-Man shot a web at one of the pieces of rubble and swung it around and let go of it, throwing it into several of the putties, crushing them with it. Then he jumped off the piece of rubble that he was stuck to and stuck to the wall. He shot several webs, sticking them to the big piece of rubble that was left, and pulled it. "Help!" Someone coughed. It was a male's voice. It could be the cameraman, Spider-Man thought, which would have been one of the last people to see his mother. Spider-Man shot another two webs at the rubble and pulled with all his strength. It lifted the rubble up ever so slowly, raising it off the ground. Spider-Man roared out with all his might as his muscles tensed. He shot another web and then another, sticking them to the rest of the building, using the building to hold up the rubble. Now he jumped off the wall and landed on the ground, and there he found the cameraman right underneath the big concrete slab. His name was Ryan. Spider-Man held out his hand and grabbed Ryan's and pulled him out and freed him. The cameraman stood up and dusted himself off. Luckily, he was unharmed. "There are still people under there," Ryan said. "Run away and get away from here. I've got these people. Hey, did you see any of the news reporters under here? Spider-Man asked. Yeah, both of them under there, Ryan replied. Now go, Spider-Man ordered. He then crawled under the rubble. He shifted under it till he found his mother laid there unconscious. Spider-Man climbed to his knees and placed his hands on the concrete slab that laid above him, and he tried standing, lifting it up. Then, as he was lifting it, he saw mole putties appearing and running at him. Spider-Man tried to hold it up with one hand, but he struggled. The putties were running straight towards him. Then, out of nowhere, another Spider-Man came swinging and kicked one of the putties out of the way and landed and turned to Spider-Man. You just hold on tight with that 1 second, okay? He said to him. Spider-Man noticed the suit that the other Spider-Man was wearing. It was black with red web patterns all over it with a red Spider-Man logo on the chest. Spider-Man knew exactly who this was. You're Miles Morales, Spider-Man grunted. Yeah, nice to meet you, new kid, Miles said. Then he clenched his fist, and with his fist clenched, a burst of bioelectricity known as venom burst from his palm, and Miles then jumped forward and threw out his electrical engulfed fist and smacked one of the putties. The putties flew back, the electricity snaring the other putties, stunning all of them. Then Miles webbed up the rest of them to the ground. Then he ran up and investigated the situation. You just hang on, new kid, Miles told him. Then he jumped up and stuck himself to the wall, shot several webs at the piece of rubble that Spider-Man was trying to lift, and helped him lift the rubble off and swung it the other way. Miles jumped off the wall and landed next to Spider-Man, and both of them shot several webs, sticking the rubble to the other side. Both Spider-Men sighed with relief. Thanks to the aid, Spider-Man said as he bent down and picked up his mother. Yeah, you did good, new kid. I'll watch you there. Come on, this way, Miles said. They both shot a web out and pulled themselves off the building and finally left, knowing full well that the firefighters had the rest of it covered. They both lowered themselves down to the ground where a transport vehicle waited to take civilians to the helicarriers. Both Spider-Men swung up and landed on the transport vehicles, and Spider-Man placed his mother down, leaving her there, knowing full well that his mother thought Logan was already on the helicarriers. So Spider-Man then joined Miles Morales as they swung and landed on a roof. Wow, I cannot believe I was aided by the famous Miles Morales, Spider-Man chuckled. I wouldn't say famous, Miles replied with a slight chuckle. Spider-Man removed his mask and then held out his hand. Name's Logan Hart, nice to meet you, Logan told him. Nice to meet you too, Miles said as he took his hand and shook it. Then he removed his own mask. Where are you anyway? How come you're not helping on this war here, fighting these clay things? Logan asked. I have a job to do. I don't think it's a good idea that I mingle with the other heroes anyway. I'm going to keep my city safe, sure, but the war itself, that's for the new Spider-Man. Miles grinned. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Mr. Pocket made me into the new Spider-Man. I didn't want to stand on your toes or anything, Logan blurted. Hey, whoa. Peter used to say, with great power comes great responsibility. It's not who's behind the mask, but it's the action that one takes when they're wearing it, Miles told Logan. Thanks. That actually means a lot coming from one of the OGs. Logan grinned. So, Spider-Man, I'll see you out there, shall I? Miles told him. Yeah, thanks, Miles, Logan nodded. Maybe after this whole world is a bit more normal, I'll give you some tips, and I'll tell you all about Peter, Miles said. Oh my god, really? I'll look forward to it, Logan replied. Miles placed his mask back on, he saluted Logan, and then ran off the building and swung away. Logan chuckled to himself as he watched Miles swing away into the distance. He was glad his mother was safe and sound and was headed to one of the helicarriers. He then was glad that he met Miles, one of the original Spider-Men. Logan's comms then started beeping in his ears. Everyone is required to return back to the warehouse. We've got news, Mr. Pocket said. Spider-Man responding, Logan replied. Then he placed his mask back on, pressed his watch, and a portal opened, and he walked through it and entered the warehouse. Mr. Pocket was preparing to execute his final plan of attack on the putties. Everyone climbed out of the jets and swarmed into the massive warehouse. Mr. Pocket pulled Thunderstruck to one side.
What's up, boss?
He asked. Son, there is a problem with one of the worldwide civilian helicarriers. It seems like some putties have found their way onto one of them. HC-13R, Mr. Pocket told him. Thunderstruck looked at Mr. Pocket with an evil glare. Your son is on that one, isn't he? Mr. Pocket asked.
Yes, he is.
Thunderstruck muttered. Well, there is only one thing you can do, Mr. Pocket suggested.
What you thinking, boss?
Thunderstruck asked. While I cannot release our heroes and villains, you don't want anyone knowing of your offspring's existence, so I would be willing for you to be excused so you can deal with the matter. There is also more lives at stake, obviously, Mr. Pocket told him.
I've got it covered, boss. I'll handle it.
Thunderstruck replied with a nod. Then Thunderstruck walked off when suddenly Jordan, the Red Lantern, stood in the way of him.
Where do you think you're going?
Jordan hissed.
Nowhere. Move out of my way.
Thunderstruck barked.
It's Grayson, isn't it? Our son's in trouble?
Jordan snapped.
Yes, his helicarrier is under attack, and they're struggling to fend him off.
Thunderstruck explained.
I'm coming with you, and I'm not taking no for an answer.
Jordan barked at him. Thunderstruck rolled his eyes. Then he walked past Jordan and headed out of the warehouse. Jordan followed him. Then they walked past the building.
If you're coming with, then can you fly us there?
Thunderstruck grinned with a cocky attitude. Jordan looked at Thunderstruck with a venomous glare.
You got a better idea?
Thunderstruck snapped.
Fine, stand back.
Jordan muttered. Thunderstruck took a step back as Jordan held out her ring, then her Red Lantern suit shimmered over her. Her mask appeared on her face and her hair was placed in a ponytail. The Red Lantern aimed her ring and the red light emanated from its encasing energy and encased Thunderstruck. Then the Red Lantern took flight and Thunderstruck started floating off as well. They both flew off into the sky and bolted at high speeds. They finally found the helicarrier that was under attack. They had putty swarming the runway and the main hangar had been smashed in and the windows all broken.
I'll get you in. Activate the emergency shields.
Jordan ordered. She flung the mutant at the window. Thunderstruck entered the hangar and crashed on the floor, his body absorbing the impact, and converted it into kinetic energy. He stood and found 3 soldiers trying to fend off some putties. Thunderstruck ran up to the first putty and slammed his fist into it. His fist struck it in the stomach. Then, with his other hand, he punched it in the head. The other putty started punching Thunderstruck in the torso, but his body absorbed the attacks. Thunderstruck pulled his hand free, then smacked the putty in the head, which made it go flying back. Then he turned to the other 2. He grabbed an incoming fist and crushed it in his hand. He then booted the putty across the room and it slammed into the wall. The last putty jumped on Thunderstruck's back, wrapped his arms around his neck, trying to strangle him. Thunderstruck just released the kinetic energy that he had stored up, pushing the putty off of him, and the putty exploded into lumps of clay. He then walked over to the console, he pressed some buttons, and the emergency metal barrier doors closed over where the window should be. On the runway of the helicarrier, putties swarmed the surface, climbing all over the parked jets and tried to get into the propellers, trying to bring down the helicarrier. Jordan aimed her ring and created several spear constructs. They all floated around her. She grabbed one and threw it, and it struck one of the putties that had tried climbing to one of the propellers. Then she grabbed the second one and threw it at a putty that had bested a soldier in combat. She grabbed the third spear and threw it, and it struck a putty and penetrated the wall, making the putty hang there helpless. She landed on the ground, grabbed the last spear, and saw one of the putties running at her. She swung the spear and smacked the putty as hard as she could, swinging it, cutting the head off. Then she rammed the spear into the chest of another putty. Then she slammed the spear on the ground and sent out a shockwave which knocked over the putties off their feet. Jordan then aimed her ring and several tentacles constructs which grabbed the putties and then flung them off the helicarrier. She then flew up into the air once more and flew out the door, and the soldiers opened it as she flew in. She entered the helicarrier and entered a corridor, which had several putties trying to break down. Jordan made a massive wrecking ball construct, which swung across the corridor and smashed into the putties, destroying them in one big swoop. The door opened, and Thunderstruck stood there, not impressed.
Well done.
Thunderstruck muttered.
Thanks.
Jordan replied. Then Thunderstruck gestured for Jordan to follow him. They ran down the corridor and turned left, hearing a lot of screaming coming from one of the rooms. Jordan made a big fist construct which sat around her actual fist. She punched the door and it flew off its hinges. Both of them dived in to find a massive group of people being terrorized by the putties, not a soldier in sight. Thunderstruck dived in and started smacking one of the putties across the room. Jordan made several shuriken constructs and threw them at the putties. Thunderstruck grabbed one of the putties and slammed his fist into its head several times, then lifted it into the air, and Jordan jumped up and vomited blood plasma on its head, melting it away. Thunderstruck then swung the lifeless corpse around, using it to batter the leftover putties. Thunderstruck and Jordan stood there with a heavy breath. Then suddenly, a little boy ran over to Thunderstruck and dived into his arms. Thunderstruck picked him up and scooped him and cuddled him tight. Jordan stood there in awe. Her red lantern suit shivered away off of her body and her mask disappeared. For the first time, she had met her son.
Hey, bud. Don't worry. It's okay. I've got you.
Thunderstruck muttered to the boy. Jordan stood there with tears filling her eyes.
So, this is him?
Jordan asked. Thunderstruck nodded. Then he put his son on the ground.
Hey, little man. This is Jordan. She's a friend of mine.
Thunderstruck told Grayson. Grayson did not say anything to her, but he let out a small wave. Jordan let out a small chuckle and wiped her cheek as a tear strolled down it.
Hey there, Grayson. Nice to meet you. I must say you look like your father.
Jordan said to the boy with a weak smile. Then some of the soldiers ran into the room and walked up to Thunderstruck.
Please make sure Grayson finds his grandmother, because if he doesn't, I'm gonna shove my fist right down your throat.
Thunderstruck snapped. Yes, sir. We have completely secured the helicarrier. Thank you, the soldier said to him with a small salute. Then, after Thunderstruck said his goodbye to Grayson, the soldier escorted Grayson away. Thunderstruck then turned to a rather sad and emotional Jordan.
You left him, remember?
Thunderstruck barked.
I know, I'm sorry.
Jordan said sadly.
After this whole world-ending shit is done with, I will try my best to get Grayson into my custody. And if that goes well, then I will think about you seeing him.
Thunderstruck explained.
Are you sure that's wise? I'm not exactly the mother of the year.
Jordan replied. She suddenly had a lump in her throat.
Like I said, it's a big maybe. And that's if, and only if, we save the world first.
Thunderstruck sighed. Then Thunderstruck walked off. Jordan took a deep breath, nodded to herself, and then she ran off and caught up with Thunderstruck. They stepped outside and onto one of the landing pads.
Hey, boss. Helicarrier is safe.
Thunderstruck said in his communicator. Good job, Mr. Pocket replied. Then Jordan's communicator beeped and she answered it, and then Mr. Pocket's voice came out of everyone's communicators. Everyone is required to return back to the warehouse, Mr. Pocket said. Both of them nodded to each other. Jordan's suit shimmered over her once more, and once again she carried Thunderstruck in a ball construct, and both of them flew off and headed back to the warehouse, and mentally prepared for the counter-invasion. Mark walked into the laboratory, following Dr. Fairweather into his office. It is strange seeing a ranger after all this time, Dr. Fairweather muttered.
You said you came from their universe?
Mark questioned. Yes, before the putties took over and made it their own planet, Dr. Fairweather replied.
How did that happen?
Mark asked him. Dr. Fairweather pulled out a chair and gestured Mark to sit down. Mark sat down and Dr. Fairweather sat opposite him. I was a part of a secret science division. Government funded. We sat on so much scrap evidence from supervillains over the years. Rangers are hard to make, access to the morphing grid and all that crap, but the technology left behind from villains is slightly different. That's where we found it. Finster's clay machine. And some of his clay. We examined the clay and found the chemical makeup for it, and then we built our own version of the machine. We figured out how to make putties, and the government had their way with it. But we controlled them. The government funded us millions to build an army, to build a way to fight the monsters with their own powers, Dr. Fairweather explained.
Okay then, that's when the Supreme was made by Rita?
Mark stated. It was more than that. Did you ever see the Planet of Apes movies? Dr. Fairweather asked.
Yeah, I saw them. Why?
Mark asked back. Well, some things very similar. We started treating them, educating them. We kept a small group to ourselves and taught them English and Japanese, Spanish, all sorts of languages. They learned how to cook, to write, to teach others. We made a functioning community. Dr. Fairweather grinned slightly.
So the Supreme is the first one you met?
Mark stated. Oh, no. The Supreme is far from the first that we met. No, we numbered them. He was F13N4. He was alone and isolated, and he snapped. We walked in one morning to greet the community, and we found them all dead. Apart from one. F13N4. He had escaped, and so-called rescued the others. We panicked, and ran and found the machine was also stolen. All the notes for the clay. Within 6 weeks, the Putties had invaded half of America. Within half a year, the Putties were reformed the planet. And then Earth was no longer. It was the Putty planet. We started this whole thing. It was our fault, really. And so we thought. Turns out F13N4 wasn't made by us. We thought we did. We thought we made him, but we didn't. He was made by Rita Repulsa. He somehow managed to break in and convince us that he was one of ours. And he slowly took over. Dr. Fairweather sighed, a hint of sadness in his voice.
It's okay. Villainy is born to counter the good in the universe. And Rita Repulsa is a grand example of villainy.
Mark stated. I suppose. I don't know whether it was Rita Repulsa's plan or his own. Dr. Weather sighed again.
I'm confused. Why did you need me here?
Mark asked, looking around the room. I was able to escape. I had a portal device very similar to your own when I was there. When I got here, I started working on Power Ranger tech. Just in case I was ever hunted, I may need a Ranger Morpher. But in this universe, I had no access to the morphing grid. When suddenly, 2 days ago, the morph I created turned on, Dr. Fairweather explained.
When I entered the universe, I must have brought the morphing grid with me, or allowed to flow into this universe.
Mark said. Exactly. Come follow me. I want to show you something, Dr. Fairweather said. He stood up and left the office. Mark got up and followed him. They walked down the corridor and walked into another room. Inside the room was a pane of glass. On the other side of the glass was a big room with a young man stood in the middle. He wore white clothes, and on his wrist was a Power Ranger morpher. Dr. Fairweather pressed the communication button on the wall. Hey Mitchell, you're up, Dr. Fairweather said into the comms. This is Mitchell Fisher. He is the tester for the morpher, Dr. Fairweather told Mark. Both Mark and Dr. Fairweather watched as Mitchell held his morph in front of him. It was silver, rectangular, with a big blue M on it. The center of the M was the letter V, and the blue had a gold outline. Mitchell pressed the center button, and the V slid up. In a flash of silver, he morphed into a Power Ranger. Mark grinned ever so slightly.
You made the Titanium Ranger?
Mark chuckled. How did you know the name? Dr. Fairweather asked.
It's not the first one I met. Had my one on my universe as well. Can't believe you made them. That's impressive.
Mark said with a grin. When I saw you fighting, I knew you weren't from here. So I thought maybe you could help him out. I was gonna wear the morph myself, but I am needed here. Train him, will you? Maybe lead him into battle. It's the whole reason I wanted to make the titanium powers. To fend off those putties, Dr. Fairweather told him.
We need these putties gone. I got a few hours till Mr. Pocket has his device ready. I hope Mitchell is a fast learner.
Mark sighed, then he walked into the training room. He walked up to the Titanium Ranger and held out his hand.
Hi there, son. I'm Mark. I'm here to train you.
Mark told him. The Titanium Ranger demorphed and Mitchell held out his hand and they shook hands. Mitchell, nice to meet you. So, they think I can help? Mitchell asked.
Hope so. Now, let's start with the basics.
Mark stated. He pulled out his power morpher and morphed. Mitchell stood there and watched in awe as the red Cornish Ranger stood before him. Mitchell held up his morpher and pressed the center button again and morphed into the Titanium Ranger. Then they started training. It started with basic combat training, weapon training, and then exact movements to defend oneself against the putties. They trained for a couple of hours, till suddenly Mark's communicator started beeping.
Yeah, what's up?
The red Cornish Ranger answered. Mark, you are needed back here. The machine is ready, Mr. Pocket answered.
Okay, on my way. And, warning, I'm bringing backup.
The red Cornish Ranger told him. Then he turned to the Titanium Ranger. You think I'm ready? The Titanium Ranger asked.
Even if you're not, we need you.
The Red Cornish Ranger told him. I don't know if I can do this, the Titanian Ranger sighed. He felt a daunting amount of responsibility hovering over him.
I've been at this for a while, and I've been a part of a ranger team. Fought a crazy witch lady, and chased a bounty hunter ranger through the multiverse. And trust me, I still keep making things up on the spot.
The Red Cornish Ranger told him. The Titanian Ranger nodded. Then they both demorphed and walked out of the training room. Then Dr. Feather ran up to them. Bring me with you. I know how the Putty Spring thinks. Maybe I can help, Dr. Fairweather chirped.
Yeah, okay. Come with us, Doc.
Mark said to him. Then Mark led Mitchell and Dr. Fairweather back to the warehouse so they could prepare for the counter-invasion. Nightwing had joined Iron Butler, Ra's al Ghul, and Bane as they carried on fighting, with the army made up of the League of Assassins by their side. The last of the helicarrier transport ships had flew off and taken some of the heroes and villains which were headed back to the warehouse to cool off and to get some rest. Nightwing jumped up and swung his fist into a putty's face, making it stagger back. Then he swiped his foot across the ground, tripping it over. Then a putty slammed its clay sphere into Nightwing's head, knocking him to the ground. The putty jumped up and jumped onto Nightwing, started slamming its fist into Nightwing before Nightwing could react. Nightwing ended up covering his face and grunted underneath the assault. Ra's al Ghul jumped up, swung his sword, and beheaded the creature, and the body dropped to the floor and exploded into lumps of clay. Ra's al Ghul stood over Nightwing with a cocky grin on his face.
You gonna help me up? Or am I gonna have to wipe that grin off your face?
Nightwing asked. I was only relishing in the moment. The young boy chuckled. Then he offered his hand out and Nightwing took it and he was pulled to his feet. Iron Butler landed next to him and aimed his hand out and shot a repulsor blast at a putty.
Boys, please, no squabbling now. It is time to fight as one, not each other.
The Iron Butler snapped. I agree with the old man. For now. Ra's grunted.
Fine, come on, we have to keep at it. Till Pocket has his machine ready.
Nightwing replied, then the trio kept at it. Bane ran through a group of putties, squashing them, smashing them into pieces. Does he ever stop? Ra's asked as he sliced down 2 more putties.
Maybe we should have reminded him he can stop.
The Iron Butler stated.
Bane, take a break, man. Come on, we've been at this for half a day.
Nightwing told the venom-dosed villain.
Take a break. I do not take breaks. I give breaks to these puny, worthless spines.
Bane howled with a laugh. He was always a bit of an oddball, Ra's commented. Nightwing shrugged, then he backflipped, kicking a putty in the chin. Suddenly, Nightwing's communicator started beeping.
What do you got, Pocket?
Nightwing answered. Dick, return back to the warehouse. The device is almost ready, Mr. Pocket demanded.
What about the rest of the team?
Nightwing asked back. They must fend off the putties on the ground till the reinforcements arrive, Mr. Pocket stated. Nightwing hung up on Mr. Pocket and looked at the Iron Butler and Ra's al Ghul.
I don't like the idea of leaving you here.
Nightwing said sadly to the Iron Butler.
Master Dick, please, an old man like myself can handle a few clay dolls and dragged up goons with anger issues. Besides, I will have Master Damien with me.
The Iron Butler replied. His shoulder pad opened up and a small gun extended and started firing high-voltage energy blast at the putties automatically behind him.
We can't trust these two.
Nightwing grunted, nodding his head towards Ra's al Ghul and Bane. We can hear you, you know, Ra's barked. Then he threw a few shurikens, which mowed down some of the putties.
It's okay, Dick. I got their backs.
Cardio said as he approached.
I have a secret weapon, but she is a little shy.
Cardio said with a shrug. Then suddenly, Amber came flying overhead. She yelled out in cheer and she landed next to Cardio. Amber was a mutant with dragon-like features, wings, a tail, and scaly skin.
This is Amber. My secret weapon. She has enough firepower to mow a few thousand of these things down.
Cardio explained.
Hey there. Holy crap, you're Nightwing. I've seen you on the news.
Amber blurted.
Nice to meet you.
Nightwing said with a nod. He tried not to stare at the dragon girl with dragon-like features.
We can handle these guys, so you better go.
Cardio told him.
Do not worry. I shall be safe. I can handle myself. This is where my new abilities are best handled.
The Iron Butler told Nightwing. Don't worry. I'll keep the old man safe. Raj grunted.
Okay, fine. I want hourly updates and keep an eye on him.
Nightwing barked, pointing at Bane. Then he jumped onto his night cycle and rode off, leaving everyone to fend off the never-ending army of putties.
So, Miss Amber, I am assuming the dragon-like complex comes with some additional bonuses.
The Iron Butler said to the dragon.
You bet.
Amber grinned. Then she took flight once again and flew over the army, and she hunched forward, throwing her arms out, and a big scream of roaring fire exploded from her mouth, raining down on the putties, scorching them all to a crisp. Damn, she comes in handy. Rush chuckled. Everyone dived back into the fight. Bane picked up a car, his bright green veins popping out of his arms and neck as he threw the car into the group of putties, crashing through the putties' first line of defense. Ra's al Ghul jumped up, and with several quick sword swipes, he beheaded and delimbed several putties. The Iron Butler aimed his wrist cannons and ripped several bullets into the putties, whilst his shoulder cannon took out putties surrounding him, as if it was watching his back. And on the other shoulder, a small rocket launcher released several rockets that rained down on the putties that stood in the back, waiting for their turn to attack. Nightwing turned up at the warehouse. He climbed off his bike and walked up to the big device that had been built. It was a rather large ring. The components reminded him of Cyborg. He stood there and looked at the device. It is rather impressive, is it not? Mr. Pocket said as he approached him.
I will be impressed if it can get us to the putty planet in one piece.
Nightwing grunted. It will, don't worry. Right now we have other problems. Mr. Pocket sighed, gesturing Nightwing to follow him. He led Nightwing to a table where a bunch of clay figures stood. Each one resembled a member of the group Mr. Pocket had put together.
You want to play make-believe with some clay doll-looking versions of the team right now?
Nightwing barked. They are the team. They went and looked at some rather odd machine the putty world dropped, and it turned them into clay things. It is the same sort of clay that the putties are made of, though, Mr. Pocket said.
This is half our team.
Nightwing snapped. I know, we'll have to deal with it. Maybe a smaller team would be better getting to the Supreme Putty, but I'll have to send some to help the ground group as well, to aid Roz and Alfred, Mr. Pocket stated.
Fine, let's get this done.
Nightwing grunted. Mr. Pocket then walked up to the device and started typing away on a keyboard.
How does it work?
Nightwing asked. Well, I have given 2 bands to Dr. Dead and Soma, siphoning their energies as stones give off. We hit on the switch and it will charge the portal. Mr. Pocket sighed.
But if they come with us, how will we keep the portal open?
Nightwing asked, rather confused. Mr. Pocket once again gestured Nightwing to follow him. This time he led Nightwing outside. They looked up and saw a spaceship flying down and landing on the helipad. Nightwing looked as the ship opened up and Mr. Pocket smiled. Nightwing looked back at Mr. Pocket, back at the ship. The door lowered and a man and a tree-looking humanoid alien walked out. Nightwing, this is Star-Lord and Groot. Boys, this is Nightwing, Mr. Pocket said.
I remember you from Union Day.
Nightwing told him as he shook Star-Lord's hand. Likewise, Star-Lord said. I am Groot. I am Groot, Groot said with a soft smile.
We really that desperate that we need alien help?
Nightwing asked. Actually, I brought this, Star-Lord stated, holding up a silver orb, which opened up and revealed the Space Stone.
These stones are way out of my league.
Nightwing muttered. Thank you, Peter. This will come in handy, Mr. Pocket said, taking the orb from Star-Lord. No worries. Anything else we can do? Star-Lord asked. If you're willing to stick around for a while, I was hoping you would. Your team and your ship would lend a hand to the ground team. They are keeping the putty forces occupied, Mr. Pocket replied. Sure thing. Anything we can do to help? Star-Lord grinned. I am Groot. Groot nodded. Nightwing held out his hand once again.
The one in the suit is Alfred, my butler and father figure. And the little brat is Damien, ex-Robin and leader of the League of Assassins. He's got an attitude, but his heart is in the right place. Find them and look out for each other.
Nightwing ordered. Damn, this guy's intense, Star-Lord muttered to Groot as he shook Nightwing's hand. I am Groot, Groot grunted. Star-Lord and Groot both climbed aboard their ship and joined the new Guardians of the Galaxy as the ship took off and flew out of sight, and Mr. Pocket sent them the directions to head to the ground group and aid them. The ship flew overhead of the League of Assassins fighting the Putty army. The ship rained a barrage of bullets through the army of clay figures.
I am assuming that is the backup Master Dick mentioned.
The Iron Butler stated.
It is not necessary.
Bane grunted as he slammed two putties into a door of a car. Shut up, meathead, Rod snapped as he pushed the tip of his blade into a putty's head. The ship's door opened and its crew jumped out and landed on the ground. Star-Lord pulled out his two blasters and started blasting several putties down. He jumped up and his thrusters threw him into the air, giving him the ability to blast more putties. His guns started shooting lasers and then shifted and started firing firebolts. Groot landed and his hands extended out and ripped through several putties. Then Groot lifted up the impaled putties and slammed them into more putties. Yolin landed and pulled out a purple rock from her pouch, pulled it into her slingshot and aimed it and released the rock. It hit a putty and the putty exploded into purple fire. The flames spread quickly and started burning more putties. Purple vice-full moon rocks. When exposed to oxygen, those flames can ignite tripled, Yolin said with a slight grin. Next to land on the ground was the Green Lantern Ryan. He landed and aimed his ring, creating several automatic turret constructs that started raining down and mowing down the putties. Then Jabal landed. He ran into the fold of his blasters in hand and he started blasting his way through the putties. Then his scroll body shimmered and he shape-shifted into a putty. Suddenly all the putties stopped trying to attack him. They turned around and started fighting the others. Jabal then started shooting putties in the head, dropping bodies quickly without the putties even realizing it. The last person to land on the ground was Zoten. The monk removed his hood, then he raised his hand and the car door started floating. He flexed his hand and the door flew into the group of putties and started beheading them. Then two putties swung their fists at him, but Zoten waved his hand in front of them. You work for me now, Zoten told them. Then the two putties stopped trying to harm Zoten, turned around and started fighting the other putties.
This group is a bit strange, no?
Bane asked. Yes, they are, but they're helping, so shut up and keep at it. Come on, Roz barked. Then he jumped up and joined his assassins in their fight against the putties.
No matter who they are, right now what matters is we are Earth's last defense, till the others can destroy the putty planet,
the Iron Butler said. Then the Iron Butler took flight and joined the fight against the putties. In the warehouse, Nightwing was preparing for the fight ahead. Mr. Pocket placed the Space Stone into the vice, and the machine started to hum. Then Mr. Pocket looked out of the warehouse and saw someone stood there outside, a man with blonde hair, a pair of glasses, and a sandy brown poncho. Nightwing, prepare the team. I shall return in a moment, Mr. Pocket growled. Then he walked outside and followed the man in the poncho. Nightwing had pulled Ocklos to one side.
Yo, dude, who's the guy your dad is talking to?
Nightwing asked. Ocklos gazed over to see his dad and the mystery man walking away. Dunno, I've never seen him before, Ocklos shrugged. Nightwing shook his head, then he walked into the centre of the room and cleared his throat. He saw the rest of the team of heroes and villains as they all turned to Nightwing. They had dwindled down quite a bit. Between the team that got turned into clay putty figures sat on the table, and the team on the ground floor fighting the putties on the ground, keeping them occupied, Nightwing was not left with a lot.
Alright guys, let's get this done.
Nightwing said sternly. Everyone looked at Nightwing with determination, ready for the counter-invasion. A portal opened like many before it, but instead of a swarm of putties spawning out of it, it was a large device. It landed in the snowy plains of Antarctica. It was an oval device and it was rather thick, silver with some flashing lights built into it. It hit the snow rather hard, and then 3 mechanical legs extended out of it and placed themselves on the ground, securing the machine's balance. Then it started beeping. 24 hours later. A Quinjet flew over Antarctica and hovered over the device. The hangar's door opened and several heroes and villains jumped out, landing in the snow. The Quinjet flew off, leaving the team there. The team was built of Black Canary, Arsenal, Hawkeye, Arkham, Scarecrow, Dr. Fate, Captain Cold, Sabretooth, Pyro, and they were led by Gambit. Okay, I know I took the name Captain Cold, but this is ridiculous. I do not like this, Captain Cold complained.
Stop bitching, man. We're all freezing our asses off.
Pyro retorted. Arsenal asked.
Now, let's not fight each other. We must stick together. These are Pocket's orders. Now let's check out this machine and hurry back to help our friends.
Gambit snapped. They walked up to the device and it beeped every minute. Sabretooth walked up to the device and threw a fist. He punched a hidden force field, which only became visible when something made impact with it.
Well, we tried. Let's head back.
Sabretooth said with a shrug. Hawkeye aimed an arrow and shot it. It hit the shield and bounced off of it. He shrugged as the arrow landed in the snow.
We need to come up with a better strategy.
Scarecrow hissed. It has the same energy signature as our putty invaders, Dr. Fate explained. Then suddenly the snow beneath them started to shift as a few putties started to climb out of the snow.
Fan out and start taking these things down,
Gambit ordered. The whole group started fanning out and started taking down the snow-covered putties. Black Canary pulled out her bow staff and started smacking the putties down. She smacked 2 in the head, then she jumped up and screamed. Her sonic scream crippled several of the putties. Pyro ignited both his wrist-mounted flamethrowers and started blasting the putties with fire, melting some of them down. Sabretooth launched himself forward, tackling several of the putties to their feet. He sunk his teeth into one as he ripped off another one's head. Arsenal shot several arrows, claiming a couple headshots to his number. Then he fired an explosive arrow which hit a putty in the chest before exploding. Hawkeye shot several more putties before pulling out his twin daggers and started slicing the putties and beheading them. Arkham started weaving through the putties, smacking his walking stick into them, releasing his sonic bursts as he did, sending the putties barreling into the snow. Dr. Fate triggered a root manipulating spell, controlling the tree roots to snag the putties. Then he triggered another spell, allowing demonic hands to come through the portals and tear the putties apart. Captain Cold shot several ice bolts, freezing parts of putties. He shot a putty in the head, making it encased in ice. He ran up to it, swung his cold gun, and smashed the head into pieces. Scarecrow triggered his gauntlets, and the needles started filling up with fear toxin. He stabbed one of the putties, and it started to freak out and then turn on its putty brethren. Gambit swung his staff around, smacking and tripping over putties. He jumped up, flipping up in the air and throwing several kinetically charged cards at the putties that ran at him. They exploded on impact. Then he slammed down his staff, channeling his energy through it, causing a putty that was being smacked by the staff to explode. The makeshift group made quick work of the putties. Then they returned their attention back to the strange machine. Sabretooth tried to punch it once again. The machine shot out a bolt of lightning, blasting Sabretooth, which threw him back, crashing into a tree.
Right now, I'm gonna destroy this doohickey, then rebuild it, then destroy it again!
Sabretooth growled as he climbed back to his feet. Everyone was staring at the tree that Sabretooth had collided into.
What? Do I have something in my teeth?
Sabretooth asked. Gambit walked past Sabretooth and up to the tree, and saw that clay veins running up the tree. Gambit snapped some of the bark off and examined it. The energy that came off the machine had hit the tree and formed into clay. The clay was moving up the bark, and the bark was dying at excess speeds. Gambit showed the rest of the group.
It seems like the clay is eating the organic matter,
Arkham noted.
The machine has buried itself into the ground. What if What if it's sucking the organic matter and converting it? Those putties came from under the snow, so it could be a machine.
Scarecrow suggested.
Mark said that the putty planet was once a Earth. What if they have advanced their technology so far they only need this machine to convert our Earth into another putty world?
Gambit sighed.
Great, I cannot wait to be a mindless drone.
Pyro said sarcastically.
We have to shut this thing off.
Black Canary snapped.
We have tried physical attacks. Maybe fate could try this time.
Arkham suggested. Dr. Fate nodded. He floated over the 7-foot machine. He waved his hands, and a rune appeared before him in a shining gold colour. He then slammed his palm into the rune, and gold chains exploded from the rune and wrapped itself around the shield, and the chain tried to strangle the shield. The energy shield started to crack, then it finally shattered. The device then made an error-like beeping sound. Then Captain Cold ran up to it and aimed his cold gun. He pulled the trigger, and the beam of ice hit the device, and it started to freeze. But then the machine started making a high-pitched wailing noise.
Please, shut up.
Sabretooth growled.
Dude, if I knew how, I would.
Gambit barked. The machine then released a grey energy wave, then another, then another. It pulsed out in rapid succession. The energy wave hit the heroes and villains. They all looked at each other and watched as each one started turning grey. Their clothes, their hair, and their skin all turned grey as if they were putties. Then they started to shrink. They felt their bones and muscles stiffen as they could no longer move. They shrunk down to the size of 6 inches. They had been turned into clay figures. They could not move whatsoever. They could not talk. They could not scream or yell for help. All they could do was scream inside of their heads. A few hours had gone by, and the pilot of the Quinjet returned and found the team all turned into clay figures laying in the snow. He collected them and put them on the Quinjet and took them back to Mr. Pocket. Mr. Pocket sighed at the sight of the failure of the mission. In the form of the heroes and villains turned into clay dolls. He placed them down on a table next to the portal device that he had been building. Gambit could see everything. He tried to scream, but no words came out. He somehow could intake oxygen, but yet his chest did not elevate. He saw some people examining him. He could hear them talking. They said that everyone that got turned into clay figures were stuck, and that no form of technology on Earth could turn them back. Doctor Strange tried using magic, but it did not work. Their only conclusion was to destroy the putty planet, and hope that the machine would deactivate with its destruction. He saw Nightwing check out the clay figures, and then he saw the machine being turned on as everyone got ready for the counter-invasion. Mr. Pocket walked away from Nightwing and walked out of the warehouse, and walked up to the strange individual. Mr. Pocket knew him as William Cranston. He was a champion collector just like Mr. Pocket, but William dealt with Power Rangers. Mr. Pocket followed William Cranston, and they both blinked away in a white flash of light, and they stood on a mountain cliff covered in snow. "Why are you here, William? Checking on me again?" Mr. Pocket asked. "You do not get to talk unless you answer me. Why is Mark here?" William Cranston barked. "Afraid I'm going to break your new toy?" Mr. Pocket asked sarcastically. "Here's my catalyst, Pocket. You have now allowed this hybrid universe to be connected to the morphing grid," William snapped. "The Justice League have met the Power Rangers before. This is not a stretch," Mr. Pocket sighed. "Stop this! Leave the Rangers to me," William barked. Mr. Pocket stood straight with his arms crossed. "Make me," Mr. Pocket chuckled. "What are you, a child?" William sneered. "You want the Power Rangers so bad? Beat me, and I reverse this whole thing," Mr. Pocket grinned. William Cranston growled, then removed his sleeve, and his gauntlet shifted into his morpher. He pulled out a king chess piece and slid it across the surface of his morpher, then threw the chess piece into the air. The king chess piece grew gigantic and slammed over William Cranston. As it shattered and disappeared, it left the king chess ranger stood before Mr. Pocket. "Are you done?" Mr. Pocket grinned. Then he flew forward and slammed his fist into the King Chest Ranger, pushing him back. He then spun around and slammed his foot into the Ranger. The impact from the blows was forcing the snow to erupt off the ground. Then Mr. Pocket grabbed the Ranger's helmet and kneed the Ranger in the stomach. He then looked at the Ranger and his eyes glowed red, and he shot a mass amount of optic blasts point blank right at the Ranger's face, sending him flying back, crashing into the snow. The Ranger stood, and he summoned his King Greatsword, and then ran at Mr. Pocket. He swung the oversized sword and hit Mr. Pocket, who had his arms crossed. His skin became orange and became solid rock. Mr. Pocket dropped to one knee due to the pressure of the impact from the sword. Then Mr. Pocket disappeared in a puff of blue smoke, and reappeared in a puff of blue smoke right above the Ranger in midair. He swung his foot and kicked the Ranger in the head, knocking him off his feet as the Ranger crashed into the snowy ground. Mr. Pocket steadied himself and shot a massive beam of ice from his hand, freezing him solid. Mr. Pocket stood tall and sighed. He let out a slight chuckle. Then suddenly the ice shattered and the Ranger bolted up into the air. He then came down and swung the sword. Mr. Pocket once again teleported a puff of blue smoke and reappeared a few feet away. The Ranger landed and stood tall. He then pulled out a samurai disc. It was dark blue and the symbols resembled some form of bird. He slotted the disc over the handle of the sword and clipped it in. He then spun the disc as fast as he could. As it rotated faster and faster, the greatsword ignited, being coated in a bright blue flame. "Phoenix disc, ignited with a spark of soul and power!" the Ranger roared. Then the Ranger ran towards Mr. Pocket with the ignited sword and swung it at him. Mr. Pocket got hit and was sent flying back and crashed into a wall of rock. The wall shattered and crumbled all over Mr. Pocket. He stood tall and brushed himself off. The Ranger jumped at him and slammed into the rocks once again, and started wailing on him, punching and punching and punching. Punch after punch, slamming each hit with all his strength he could muster. Mr. Pocket opened his mouth and let out a sonic scream. The Ranger covered his ears and was thrown back. Then Mr. Pocket took a deep breath, and his body started vibrating as he took in the speed force. He then ran at lightning speed, and started running around in circles. The Ranger stood in the middle of it. The Ranger's sword disappeared, and he slammed his fist into his palm, and his body started releasing spiritual energy. Then he started moving in a rhythmic form. The spiritual energy formed into the spirit of the White Lion, and the Ranger threw out his hands, and the White Lion spirit launched at the tornado circling around him. The White Lion spirit crashed into Mr. Pocket and knocked him off his feet. The Lion spirit slashed at Mr. Pocket, then Mr. Pocket teleported again at the spirit's grasp. He teleported behind the Ranger, and suddenly his hands caught ablaze, and he punched the Ranger several times, running around using the speed force to make it almost impossible for the Ranger to block any of the blows. Then the Ranger summoned the Gold Flux Quantum Blaster, and fired it. The shot hit Mr. Pocket in the shoulder, staggering him. Then he launched forward and slammed his fist into Mr. Pocket's stomach, then uppercut him in the face. Mr. Pocket then grabbed the Ranger's shoulders and punched him in the helmet. Then again, the Ranger retaliated with a knee in the stomach. Then he swung his foot across the ground, tripping Mr. Pocket up. Mr. Pocket jumped back to his feet, then charged a rainbow-coloured energy blast between his palm. The Ranger then summoned a prehistoric version of the power weapons known as the Dino Destroyers, and formed the powder cannon. He aimed the cannon and fired it at the same time as Mr. Pocket fired his rainbow energy blast. Both attacks flew at each other, but just before they collided with each other, a figure appeared in a flash of white and raised both his hands and caught both energy blasts. Then the mysterious figure spun around, threw each blast into separate directions, and the explosions erupted in the air. Mr. Pocket stood straight, and the Ranger returned his weapons as the white-hooded figure stood there with a D50 hand pistol in each hand, and aimed one at Mr. Pocket and one at the King Chest Ranger. The white figure stood there for a moment, his guns aimed. "Both of you, pack it in!" the hooded figure barked. The hooded cloak vanished off of him, and Twilight stood there. Twilight was one of the original mysteries, and was second in command. He looked at Mr. Pocket and the King Chest Ranger. The Ranger demorphed, and William Cranston sighed. "Fine, I yield," William muttered. "Same," Mr. Pocket sighed. Twilight holstered both his guns. "Good, we have a mission to do, and right now we cannot have two individuals squabbling like children," Twilight barked. "I know, I should have done better. I'm sorry," William said with his head hung low. "Kiss ass," Mr. Pocket sneered. "I mean it, man. We have one goal. Protect the multiverses. Everything and everyone is at stake. And yes, there has been some awkward alterations. Thanks to you, Pocket," Twilight stated. "Hey man, we did that spell that allowed us to do this. I know the Justice League have met the Power Rangers, I wanted to, Mr. Pocket said, but was cut off by an evil glare coming off of Twilight. I don't care. You do you. William here can't say anything. He has a ranger from Wakanda, Twilight told him. So now what? Mr. Pocket asked. You keep going. Help each other, not fight each other. Next time you want to do a move like this, you communicate with each other. Be part of the unit. We fight as one. Next time someone pulls this sort of stunt, Sparks will be down here, and you bet your ass he'll wipe you from existence. Twilight snapped. Understood. William Cranston nodded. Yes, boss, Mr. Pocket sighed. Good. Now, mission report, Twilight said. I've expanded to several universes. I'm working on the Future Foundation as the leading team, and Takeshi and I have a few projects under the way as well. William explained. I have fused 2 non-connected universes into one, building my teams from here, and I'm also expanding as well, Mr. Pocket explained. William, you need to start looking for more and creating unique ranger teams. You only have one so far, Twilight told him. Yes, sir, William Cranston nodded. Pocket, I know this fused universe thing is your baby, but you gotta start expanding. You have this obsession with Oculus, right? Try doing more with that. Stretch out to other universes. The more the better, Twilight ordered. Mr. Pocket rolled his eyes, then nodded. Then Twilight pressed his communicator in his ear. What? I was going to. I had to kick these guys' asses. Really? Ace is such a tit sometimes. Yeah, fine, I will. Be there now. Okay. Send my love to Rose, Twilight said into the communicator. Then he turned back to Mr. Pocket and William Cranston. Look, Ace got himself stuck in the color matrix, some sort of hell-bent hotel thingy. Anyway, there is another reason why I came here. Something is going on and you two need to know about it, Twilight stated. What's going on? William asked. Remember when we took down the girl, the gold crystal, and the liquid powers? Twilight asked him. Eve, right? She was a Luminia, sent to find out what we were doing, Mr. Pocket said. Yeah. Turns out she has a partner. There were 2 of them, and he's out for blood. He's copying us, using our tactics, and is making his own army of multiversal champions, so to speak, across all multiverses, Twilight told them. Who is this guy? Mr. Pocket asked. How the hell are we gonna find out if we run into his champions? William snapped. One, he calls himself David, or at least that's the name that he's giving himself to other people, and there is a sure way of finding his champions. We've already had taken out a few of them, Twilight told them. David, huh? Interesting. So, what's this tell for his champions? William Cranston asked. There is 2. First off, the color gold. There's always something to do. Somewhere there's gold. Clothes, suits, equipment, powers. There's always gold in their person. Somewhere. Second, David seems to have this thought pattern that he's gonna hunt all of us down. He's the apex predator. So, his champions usually follow this apex idea. It's in their name, it's in their quota, it's in their title. Usually it's somewhere, but it could be something for us to lean on. Try looking for powers, cults, teams, armies, weapons, whatever the case may be, you'll find gold and the term apex somewhere with every single champion, Twilight explained. You'll keep an eye out and we'll keep you updated if we find anything, William replied. Gold and apex. Got it, Mr. Pocket nodded. See you guys soon, Twilight said, then in a blink of white light, he disappeared. Look, with the Morphin Grid now in this universe, I could help you make a ranger team or 2, William sighed. Hey, I could help you find others like the Wakandan Ranger, Mr. Pocket replied. William opened a portal, then walked up to it. He turned to Pocket one last time. Please return Mark on his path. That is all I ask, William Cranston growled. You have my word, Mr. Pocket nodded. Then William walked through the portal and it closed behind him. Mr. Pocket then teleported back to the warehouse and walked in. Alright guys, let's get this done, he announced. The preparations were complete, and the counter-invasion to the Putty planet was ready to begin.
Jessica, Ember, and Jordan, the Red Lantern, was voiced by Jordan. Jack, the Orange Lantern, was voiced by Crimson. Soma Noir was voiced by Ghost Galaxy Cosplay. Bane was voiced by Draco DeValentine. Scarecrow was played by Franken Sauce. Pyro was played by Cosplay Sun 637. Arson was played by A-Crown. Black Canary was played by Decent Hugs. Ghost Rider and its host Kit was played by Oni Guy. Vixen was voiced by Naomi Edwards, Ty's stepmother. Felicia Hart was voiced by Kat Osborne. Cardio and Venom were voiced by Ethan. 1-Up and 1/3 of Dr. Dead's voices was played by the J. Dragon Hart. Arkham was voiced by DJP voiceover. Thunderstruck was voiced by Austin, aka XX Dark Angel 69. Nightwing and Gambit were voiced by Cosplay Dude 637. Sabretooth, Alfred, 1/3 of Dr. Dead's voices. Also, the Red Cornish Ranger was voiced by Mark, the Red Cornish Ranger himself. Everyone else was voiced by the writer and storyteller, your host, Ty Tiger.